Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everybody to another episode of All Nicked Up on this May 27th, 2026. Ah, nice exhale I'm taking there. Everyone should know why I'm taking a nice exhale. I'm not waiting to exhale. This is no Terry McMillan book, no movie. I've finally exhaled, even though there's still a little bit of ways to go, but our New York Knicks have finally at least gotten to the NBA Finals for the first time in 27 years. I was 22 years old the last time the Knicks played in the NBA Finals. So this is going to be quite the series, and we're going to get into all of it. We'll get into everything. Thank you for joining us, of course. Let me bring the guys on because they're older than me, so they were so they can speak to it as well. What this feeling is like, how this craziness. So guys, I said this to Ty yesterday when he messaged me about the show. I'm like, this doesn't seem real. Like it doesn't seem real to me. It hasn't really sunk in. I think it won't until they start playing. Which hopefully is for another, like I said, long time to let those two teams beat each other up. But how have you guys felt since the Knicks have won? How's the last couple of days been?
I'm gonna give that to you, Ty.
It's one of those weird feelings for me because it's about the perspective, at least for me, when watching the Knicks. As I told you, I ease my way into watching the games now, and this is what you do when you're 53 years of age. So I have this method that I watch the first quarter without watching, and then I ease my way into watching into the second quarter. So as far as the end of the first, same thing applies here. When, obviously very happy that we're there, but it's also just the brake pumping that I always do go. It's surreal for one thing that we're actually here, but in the same sense, I'm like, this is not what we want. This is not the goal. The goal is ultimately the title. So I don't want to ever get like too ecstatic about just making it. It's always about the finish line. So I don't know. And I've been a little bit kind of like whatever about it. I mean, I know I'm ecstatic, but I'm not either high or low emotionally about it. It's just more so I'm like, let's get this thing started because, it's ultimately about those next 4 games that are going to really set the precedent about why they're here. I don't think that we thought that they couldn't get here. Now that we're here, what do we do about it? And, lingering in my mind is the 50, I always say, because I was born in 1973. So every year I'm reminded that the Knicks have sucked. They haven't won anything. So for me, it's like I'm just pumping my brakes and saying, hey, boy, I know I don't want you to think about how it would feel. I know we're close, but we've seen this picture before last season. We're like, oh, what could stand in our way other than a miraculous shot by Tyrese Halliburton? So, I've just learned as a Knicks fan to not get too ahead of myself. And much like the Knicks have been preaching, one game at a time, that's how I'm kind of taking it.
But I hear you and I agree with you. But Joe, like, don't you feel at least some sense of accomplishment winning the Eastern Conference? Like, this has been, like I said, it's been 27 years. Of course, we want to win the title. That's what this is about. But to say that you're the best team, at least in the Eastern Conference, and now, like, I think a lot of people have thought that, but now we've actually proven it. Like, okay, we're here. So, don't you feel there's some level of accomplishment with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think in between these series right now, I'm kind of like savoring these moments like one would like a really, really good steak, where you're cutting like much, much smaller pieces to draw it out and to really enjoy it, kind of. I mean, I've been talking with you guys online since 2010. You guys have been communicating for far longer than that, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
We've sat through some really, really bad basketball. So going from the conference finals to the finals is a huge jump. This is just not a simple succession the way going from the first round to the second round is. It's like climbing Mount Everest. The closer you get, each successive point is a little bit harder to get to the top. So I've been enjoying it. I absolutely do think that this is a great accomplishment. It's one we haven't tasted since '99. However, I'm enjoying this more than '99, though, to tell you the truth, because I do think we have more of a legitimate shot. I mean, if there's one thing that the past month has taught me is that I don't have a lot of the Knick anxiety that I had when they'd be in positions in the playoffs and things like that, thinking, okay, when are the wheels going to fall off? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just filled with confidence and excited for the next round and excited that this team that we've watched forever, I started watching when I was 10 years old, has a legit chance at an NBA championship, a legitimate chance, not an outside chance, not a long shot. I think a legitimate chance to win an NBA championship if they continue playing at the level that they're playing at right now. So I'm enjoying this. I am savoring the accomplishment. I'm hoping for more, but it's been a great time to be a Knicks fan.
Big time.
Agreed. I'm there with you. Like I said, I'm still not sure. I still keep waking up and saying, "Do we have another game to play?" Like, is there something else I'm missing? And we'll get into that. But in this spirit of it's the summer blockbuster movie season, so each of my banners this week will have a little bit of a theme of a movie title or some kind of a movie title. So if this was a sequel, since it was a sequel to the sweep before, we have the sweep part 2, Return of the Brooms, because the Knicks, our Knicks, I gotta keep saying that, swept back-to-back series. They swept, of course, the 76ers, and then they could turn around and swept the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, we were on last week, and at that point, it was just after game 1, the historic comeback that they made down to 22 points. And we all said at that point, we don't think Cleveland can recover. And we were like, yeah, maybe they get a game, but we don't think Cleveland can recover. And they did not. I mean, they didn't recover from that. And that was never more apparent than Donovan Mitchell after the series in his press conference. They asked him, he said, probably don't lose when you're up 22 points. Lose a 22-point lead in game 1, So I feel like it's I'm trying to put the win in perspective. Like this, I'm trying to put both the sweeps in perspective. And I'm trying to say, okay, maybe these obviously weren't the two best teams in the East. The two best teams all season outside of us were Boston and Detroit, but they didn't get here, right? They lost to those teams. So you got to beat who you're playing who's in front of you. So what do you guys think? There's a lot of conversation now about the path and how easy the path was. Well, how do you guys attack that? What is your rationale behind, people saying, oh, they had an easy path to the finals?
Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
They had an easier path than going through the West. I mean, you can't paint it any other way. However, it's the way in which they won. that
Right.
is so impressive. I mean, the difference between Detroit, Boston this year and those teams, even if you look at the standings in the regular season, it's not like you were dealing with the Charlotte Bobcats. You know what I'm saying? These were very, very talented teams, very strong teams, but it's just how they won. I mean, again, we didn't play a San Antonio or an OKC in the conference finals. We played Cleveland, but we destroyed them, completely destroyed them. So again, it's the level of dominance to me right now is more important on the path, if that makes sense.
Right.
I don't know. That's just what I'm taking from it. I'm not seeing this as a negative. I am seeing a team that is crushing people, and that's what I choose to see in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, there's the statistics support it. They've outscored their opponents by 271 points. It's the largest margin in NBA history. It's a historic point. Ty, what about you? What are your feelings on everyone talking about the path being simple and easy?
Did everybody see Ray J get his ass whooped? Everybody see that? Everybody see that? You got Not. You got a little Not up there. Did you see him after when he looked delusional?
Mm-hmm.
He's looking for everything else to talk about. Well, that's what happens when you get your ass whooped. You get your ass whooped, you find all kind of excuses of why you got your ass whooped. It was everybody else's fault. It was some light in your eye. Oh, if they had just moved over to the left, maybe if I had dodged the bolt that went into my face. You know, all these things. And we go back to the older Mike Tyson, as I always say, everybody got a plan until you get hit in the damn mouth.
Yep.
The Knicks smashed them in their friggin' mouths. That's just all it is. What we're hearing now is a bunch of friggin' excuses. I'm trying not to hit the beat button here. It's a lot of friggin' excuses because it's the New York Knicks. Had this been any other team, had this been the Detroit Pistons, had it been Cleveland, had it been Boston, no one would be talking about the path of least resistance. They would just say that these teams were just the superior teams. That's what you would have heard. It's hard to fathom, much like Eric articulated early on. It's hard to see the Knicks where we are because it's a little bit of a shock that it's actually a blue and orange uniform that happens to be kicking everyone else's ass. And it's the same thing I said last week. My name was Brunson316. I said he was like the music Stone Cold Steve Austin. The glass broke, and he went in and he whooped all their asses on Cleveland. That's what happened. And it's stunning because it's coming from New York, a team that's used to be buried underneath the dirt. You know, they had a little meme up or whatever video showing Brunson being like the Undertaker. He was put into the casket. They went over to close it, and he choked them out. That's the famous scene in wrestling. Well, that's what the Knicks did. They tried to close the coffin in Atlanta, and the Knicks were like, oh, the hell no. I'm going to choke slam you to hell, and I'm going to get you up out of here. And they thought then, all the excuses you heard then, before it was Atlanta came in, they were 18-1. They're the hottest team. The Knicks have no shot at beating them. Then the Knicks go down 2-1, and they're like, oh, just get the brooms ready or whatever, packing them up or whatever you want to say. You know, the Knicks are done. All of a sudden, whatever we don't know what happened in between games 3 and 4. The only thing we know that an onslaught ensued after that.
Yeah.
Every team that has come since then, the Knicks have, to borrow another wrestling word, it was a slobber knocker. They've been kicking people's asses. That's the bottom line about this. This is nothing. Just throw it all out the window about how they got here. They beat the hell out of whoever else. They threw them out of the nightclub. You no longer have a membership. You got kicked the hell out of the club. That's like the guy that's out there, you know, he takes off his shirt after the bouncers threw him out. Oh, yeah, I would have. Yeah, you know what? But your ass is out of the club. That's really the bottom line. You're kicked the hell out. And that's what happened. It happened. And it just happened to be with this symbol here. That team came in and they ran amok, to borrow a word from Clyde. So when you look at this, we were talking earlier today off camera. We were saying about the path of least resistance, and Greenberg brought it up. You know, speaking about that, I said, let's just blow this whole thing about least resistance. When you get the number 1 seed, it's so you have an easier path. That's been basketball 101 since whenever a higher seed gets an easier pass. That's why they said the Knicks should want to get either 1 or 2, so they didn't have to face Detroit until the end. That's how it goes. So everyone's gunning for that position. But, Eric, I had said one time before, I said, I don't think the Knicks care about where they land. I felt like they were confident enough, and Mike Brown also reiterated that. He said, well, if you're that team, it shouldn't matter where you end. If we believe we are who we're supposed to be, it doesn't matter where the rank. And I've always subscribed to that. If you're that team, if you're them, then it don't matter where you land. You should be able to kick everyone else's ass. The problem is being that it's the Knicks now. Now all of a sudden the new rule book. Oh, they're having a light path. Well, we know that Oklahoma City, they have been ripping through prior to getting to San Antonio. They were ripping through the competition. Well, what has been their nemesis? Maybe similar to what the Knicks may have faced if they had faced Detroit. Those were two teams that had diverse styles that could actually play each other pretty tight. What happened? Detroit didn't finish their breakfast. It's over. It is what it is. They suck. They had if they were that team, they would have swept through Orlando. They would have handled Cleveland, and this would be the New York Knicks facing the Detroit Pistons. The same thing. If Boston was that good, then you don't lose to Embiid. You don't lose to a team that's broken. But what happened is they come in there, the Knicks kick the hell out of them. But all of a sudden now the Knicks had inferior competition. But when Philly beat Boston, were they not considered more favorable against the Knicks? Everybody picked Philly. It's like,
a lot of people picked them, yes.
Oh, and Maxey, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? The same thing they've been doing for the last 2 years. Yes, that's what they've been doing since Brunson's been here. They've been kicking Philly's ass. They've been beating Cleveland's ass. There's nothing new. This is nothing new under the sun. It's just more so Detroit was the team that we all were a little bit concerned about. Yeah. That maybe if we get there, that might be more of a dogfight, but let's just keep it a book. They kicked Detroit's ass last year too. So what are we doing here? No matter how many games, 6 games, last second shot by Brunson, lights were out in Detroit. So what are we talking about here? The Knicks have always proven outside of Indiana Pacers, they're the only team that can hang a carrot over the Knicks. They've somehow figured out, and I think that came down to coaching. I think it's because of Thibodeau versus Carlisle. He's just a more superior coach that's willing to adjust. Yeah. But if he had probably maybe had Mike Brown, maybe this is a different situation as of last season. But we had someone who was not willing to adapt. So the Knicks are not – why is everybody surprised? Why is anybody surprised that the Knicks are where they are? Last year, they almost made it last year, and they barely were even put together over the summer. Carl-Anthony Towns came in what? A couple days before training camp?
Yeah, it was late.
Traded.
It was late in the offseason.
I mean, what are we doing here? And this team almost made it to the finals. They almost made it to the finals. If Halliburton's shot doesn't drop, there's no reason not to believe we're not playing Oakland.
Probably are.
And may have could have beat them. You never know. When you get into the finals, you never know what it is. So, like this whole thing, like, now the Knicks had an easy path. Last year, what we heard, Detroit may beat them in the first round. That's what we heard, right? That's what everybody was talking about. They can't.
I was worried. Yeah, I was.
We were concerned about it. We thought Detroit would get a lot of problems. Then it was like, oh, they can't win in Boston, and they won in Boston. So what are we doing here? Is this about New York, or is it about basketball? Because if we're talking basketball, the proof has been that the Knicks have been the better team for 2 straight seasons. This is not nothing.
Yeah, I think the one of the things is the Knicks, the team and the players that they have, they're not a flashy athletic group, right, of players. Mm-hmm. So, you don't look at them if you look just as athletic profile. Like if you look at Jalen Brunson and you look at Donovan Mitchell, you're going to take Donovan Mitchell because he's a better athlete, right? Wow. That's just what you're going to do.
Do that.
Sure. Right, box office, yeah. Let's not get on that guy, but box office, yeah, exactly. Like there's certain guys in the league you would pay to go see just because they do things that we can't do.
Exactly.
Brunson does things that we can't do as well, but his is more technical, right? He's a technical player. Footwork and angles, and he's good at that stuff. And he has the one thing that like I said, there's the one thing that all great players has. He has the it factor, right? When the moment is big, he rises to the moment and he plays his best. Not every player has that. He has that. But again, those aren't quantifiable things until you see them. You can't put them on a spreadsheet and say, his vertical is this, or, he runs this fast, or because he wouldn't win those. So I think that's part of it. I think when every round the Knicks got to, it was like I said this in the chat. Philly, Boston was up 3-1. Philly won 3 straight games. So when they were going into the round against the Knicks, when they were playing the Knicks, they were on a hot streak, right? So they're like, oh, and Boston, most people would say, was a better team than Atlanta. So you're looking at it and you're like, all right, maybe Philly has a shot. I didn't think so. We didn't think so. But
I thought Philly. I did think Philly had a shot. I did say that.
But that's what I mean. Like the national media is looking at it from that perspective. Also, the Knicks are a hot button topic, right? They know. Yep. They know that they say things about us that gets us fans riled up. Like I mean, shout out to Becky Hammond. I have no issues with what she said. Honestly, I never did from the point she said it. I really never cared. I understood what she was trying to say. It didn't come out that way, but I understood what she was trying to say. But whatever. But again, this is coming up again. And she said it 2 years ago. And now fans are like, ha, 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 ha. Look at Brunson. Ha, 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 ha. Like, it's just these little things that get under our skin, and people just press those buttons. So I think just as each round went by, you could look at the other team and say, okay, they're better at that than the Knicks. They're a better, more athletic. They have a better athletic profile. They have a better whatever. And same thing with Cleveland. Like, they won 2 games on the road in Detroit to win that series. They won a game 5 and a game 7 to win that series. So I think people looked at that. Plus, they had a really good home record for the most part. So I think people were looking at that and so on and so forth. Now, one thing I don't think people took enough account into with Cleveland was probably the rest, right? I think the Knicks having all that time off, Cleveland having to play back-to-back 7-game series, I think that took a toll on them.
Definitely.
That's why losing a 22-point lead in game 1, you're not going to come back from that. You're not going to recover from that. We said that after last week. So, all I know is now is the Knicks are in the finals. I don't give a damn how they got there. They're there. You play the teams that are in front of you. That's what the Knicks did, and they beat them. So now going into the next round, I'm going to go to my next topic, into the unknown, because we don't know right now who the Knicks are playing. We don't know if they're playing San Antonio. We don't know if they're playing Oklahoma City. Where of the 2 teams, and let's take the officiating out of it. I don't want to talk about that because we could spend a whole show on that. I don't want to put that into the equation. So just based on talent level, which matchup do you prefer?
I want San Antonio.
Why?
Because I think that we have enough height and length to give Wembanyama problems. I think our perimeter defenders are going to help out a lot on some of those young guards. I think we played them well during the season. I think that OKC's deeper. And I think right now, at least, they have the best player on the floor in any matchup, in any game. SGA right now is the best player out of all the 3 teams that are left. And I think come crunch time, he's somebody who can get his very, very easily. I think Wemby isn't that guy yet, personally. He's had those incredible performances. I think 41 points, 24 rebounds in this playoffs. He's had that game. But then again, you look at what he just threw up in the last game, in game 5, which is a critical game. Just they figured something out with him. I just don't think their bench is as good as OKC's either. I don't think they're as deep. I think OKC is the far more dangerous team. Neither one is a good drawer. And nothing for nothing, if we walk out with a chip on against either of those teams, nobody could say anything ever again about the path, because these are 2 very, very formidable opponents. So, yeah, I would rather draw San Antonio.
Same question.
I think San Antonio is an easy answer. I'm not saying Joe's answer, but I'm saying easy because we got the inexperience. The Knicks have proven that they can play against them. Did you guys watch the I don't really watch a lot of boxing anymore. This isn't a Ray J one. This is when Canelo faced Bud Crawford. Did you guys watch that fight or pay any attention to it? That was the first time I watched a boxing match in a long time. Henceforth, why I say that for is that Bud Crawford was known to be the dude, obviously. But one of the things that they were questioning was whether or not he could move up in weight to actually fight a guy Canelo size. So, I don't know. I grew up in a whole different era of the way I think. I think if I wanted to say San Antonio is just because I know we can beat them. But, man, I grew up watching Larry Bird play Magic Johnson. It was mano y mano. It was the best against the best. And when you start looking at the tape of Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and look at the tape of Jalen Brunson, those two are fantastic players. They're evenly yoked in a lot of ways. You know, Shea's just a little bit bigger, obviously. But when you look at the stat line, I think I'd love to see how Brunson punches him, to see if he's fit for the task. You know, when you want to be the best, I think you definitely, was in the words of Ric Flair, in order to be the best, you got to beat the best. I just think that them against Oklahoma City would be the cream of no one having it to say once they beat them. Because imagine the Knicks go in with this, what we're seeing now, this juggernaut of the Knicks. And the Knicks go in there and a team that no one thinks is beatable. They go in and, like, what did Tracy Morgan says? King Kong died here. Imagine King Kong. Imagine Oklahoma City is King Kong, and the Knicks go in and they ring their bong, and they actually beat them, and they beat them convincingly. There would be no more slander about the Knicks. No. You would get no more garbage about the Knicks. Because San Antonio, there's a little bit of an excuse you can hear, an asterisk. Oh, Wembyama, much like
that's a good team, though, man.
They're a young team. All of these things are applicable. And yeah, someone will still have something to say about the resistance of the Knicks. If they go in and they punch Oklahoma City dead in the throat, and they deliver these kind of knockouts that we've been seeing them do against teams, and granted, Oklahoma City is the best, they're the echelon, but we're also seeing them being tested by another young team. Yeah. You know, we saw last season, revisionist, we saw Indiana go down to a game 7 and Halliburton not getting hurt. We don't know what that. I mean, thank God for Knicks fans. Not that he got hurt, but it wasn't the Indiana one. After that, what happened to us? Collapsed. Imagine the storyline going into the season. However, what we did see, though, is Indiana offered a great amount of competition to Oklahoma City. So it's not like they cakewalk last year when it came to the finals. They had a lot of resistance from an Indiana team that had a great chance of winning a game 7 if Halliburton doesn't go down. So when you look at the Knicks, you know, look at what they're doing, and we were talking earlier about how I was feeling about the Knicks and what my emotions have been, and why it's been a little bit more even keel for me is that the basketball part of me is like, they're going to beat the hell out of teams. The basketball side. And I don't want the basketball side to talk for my fandom, because I'm looking at that, I'm like, look, we've never seen something like this. All the basketball I've ever watched, I've never seen a team rip a team this damn bad, because it really has never happened where you've seen a team in the playoffs.
Not consistently, no.
Just go on this is the greatest run in the NBA in any 11 game, not even postseason, regular season. They're stomping teams. The Atlanta thing I thought was just maybe an anomaly. Like, okay. Then they're going in and they close out Philly and it's 30-something points. They close out Cleveland. They act like these guys, this is not a professional NBA team. They act like these are like terrible basketball players. They Embiid's an MVP. Then Maxi's not rated as one of the best. He's rated above Jalen Brunson in a lot of categories. If you let some people buy into it, they have BJ Edgecombe, one of the best young players. You go through CJ McCollum, he was resurrected, you know, and they got Jackson Hayes down there. They got all these guys. You've heard all these stories. Donovan Mitchell's better than Brunson. Harden is better than Brunson. You've heard all these stories, and it's like the Knicks shot Jalen Brunson the third quarter into the fourth.
I know.
And they pulled the starters at 8 minutes and put in the bench to finish out a game that they won by 30. So when we hear about Oklahoma City, they're in a dogfight with San Antonio. Don't get me wrong, San Antonio matches up perfectly with them. But it's just letting you know that there's teams that should have matched up great with the Knicks, and the Knicks are just playing on a whole different level because you hear the people who are usually the ones saying stuff, the Barclays, the Shaqs, and everybody's toned down a little bit of what they're saying. They're going, wait a minute, this is different from this team. This team is not like regular teams. Now, unless they implode in the playoffs, which anything is possible. But the way they're playing now, I'd like to see them against OKC from a basketball perspective, just to see where we measure up. Maybe this is a return back to the finals. Maybe they get back next year. It doesn't matter. But I'd like to see them test and see whether or not they're as good as we think they are. Because right now, they are the best playing basketball team in the NBA in this what's left of the three teams. It's just whether or not they can translate it to another team that's just as competitive. Because Oklahoma City is just as competitive. That's the one key thing. So it'd be like a heavyweight boxing match.
Yeah, and both, I mean, we're talking about path and everything, but I can even see the excuses coming if the Knicks were to win win the finals and win the championship. I can see the excuses like, oh, Jalen Williams wasn't 100%.
I was thinking the same thing.
So these guys, I mean, so I personally, I don't care. Honestly, I think the Knicks have a good shot against both teams. I like certain matchups individually, like better for us. I think that if we get this version of Bridges and Anunoby, in the finals, defending against Shea and their wings, I like our chances. If Shamet can keep shooting the way he's shooting, because good Lord, this guy is on a heater like you would not believe. It changes everything, right? It changes the scope. The way the Knicks have been playing going into the finals, it just changes your perception of things. Because had you asked me this before the playoffs, I would have said, if they get to the finals, they have no shot against either of those teams.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard to deny what we're seeing, right? It's hard to deny the facts and the run we're seeing. And to your point, Ty, like, yeah, maybe Cleveland and Philly aren't San Antonio and Oklahoma City, but they're still professional basketball teams. And they're getting blown out, like 30 points. There are games the Knicks were up 20 plus in like 3 of the 4 games, I think. Right? Like you look at these things and you're sitting there and you're like, this is not normal for professionals. So I don't care really. I saw the Knicks play the Spurs this year against Victor. I was at that game at the Garden. The Knicks won. I do think they can beat them. I think the Thunder are the tougher matchup for sure. I totally agree with that. They just have waves and waves of players they can just putting out there, keep coming at you. So that their bench, they are so deep, they don't have a weakness. Again, injuries, like yes, they'll be slowed down. Certain injuries, certain guys are banged up. That's fine. But we don't know how healthy OG is either, right? Like he took the hamstring, maybe he's not 100%. Those things take a while to heal, so I don't want to hear it. But I think the Knicks can beat either team. I'm totally there now. I think the Knicks can beat either team. I don't care which matchup it is. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens. So I brought up Landry Shamet, and this I cooked the Cavaliers because this man, 90% like 95% from 3. He's missed 1 3-pointer in the whole series. The Knicks shooting overall was phenomenal. Like I feel like every guy was hitting their shots. Brunson, ironically, was the one who probably shot the worst in the series. So this is just a historic. But what do you guys think? Not just of Shamet, but the rest of the bench. The bench has had its moments in each series. Like McBride had the great game 4 against the Sixers, right? Fantastic. Got them off to a huge start. Was able to close them out. Then we had Shamet in the Cavs series. Looking ahead, do you think the bench can keep it up?
I have to be honest with you. I'm wondering if they can all keep it up. I mean, we've seen everybody perform at such a high level, which is one of the reasons that these periods of rest concern me so much. You get out of that zone. I mean, that's a legitimate concern. But they did come out of a long layover before and still, But again, do they win game one against a superior opponent where they had to come back rusty against Cleveland in that game?
Fair.
So to answer your question more directly and accurately, I don't know. I don't see Landry Shamet playing that level, but I see somebody else stepping up. I think Deuce McBride has been more consistent than he's shown recently, so we hope to get that version of him. Mitchell Robinson becomes more important in both of these series.
Yep, for sure.
So there, you still have Jordan Clarkson, who seems to have screwed his head on after a long career of tomfoolery. I'm being a little hard on the man, but he's been more professional. So, I mean, we have pieces here. Shamet certainly can play defense and stroke it. I don't see the bench that we're seeing now. I see a different bench coming forward. I see it really being about Deuce and Mitch. I think of what the next series are going to be about from the bench and whoever can provide. If Shamet's hitting on it too, God bless him. Keep doing what you're doing, man. But and again, this is one of the great things that I've appreciated about Mike Brown is not only utilizing the bench, but also keeping all these guys fresh and invested. And I've said this several times. It's one of the things that he's done as a coach that I really think is fantastic. Mm-hmm. He's kept them all warm, even though they're sitting on the bench. It's this guy's turn. It's this guy's turn. It's this guy's turn. It's this guy's. The bench is engaged and involved. So I don't know. I think it's going to be a different bench. I don't think it's going to look like the last series or the series before. I'd say the most important person off of our bench is going to be Mitch.
Yeah, I would. I'd definitely co-sign that, especially if it's the Spurs. Like they're going to need him really against the Spurs if they play them. Ty, so of all the guys mentioned, did we miss anyone? Any guy off the bench you think might be forced into action and surprise? Because I feel like that's what we've had.
I think that Kolick might be a guy they might need at some point. And the reason being is because, hey, Jose, I don't know what he's doing sometimes. I mean, I like GTA, but, you know, we always got to talk about those minutes that Brunson's not in the game, and you need a playmaker. And, you know, Towns is probably the best playmaker we have. You know, when you look at it totality-wise, he's the hub. He can do a lot of things with the ball. I mean, I think his turnovers are going to be extremely important in the next series, no matter which way it is. But when we think about the bench, I mean, I'm not worried about Shamet. I think even if Shamet's not shooting, he's going to contribute in some sort of form or fashion defensive-wise. I would like to see him a little bit on SGA. I think that would be a great matchup for him to come in and give some minutes there. He's savvy. He's just tenacious. He gets at guys. We've seen a little bit in this series with San Antonio, with Castle. He's been able to turn over Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's. He's actually not having a great series. Actually, I think there's a stat that says that he's got more free throws than field goals made in this series. So that tells you a little bit about the whole NBA in itself. But the notion that that's what exactly went on with that. But, you know, when I think about the bench, I mean, I'm going to concur with Mitch being the absolute most important in either one of the series. I just think what he provides, if you can control the boards, you know, you can control any series in a basketball game, you know, 7-game series. So I think it's important that the Knicks rebound very well, especially when you look at a team like Oklahoma City. They have Hartenstein. You know, Mitch should be very familiar with him. You know, they got Chet. Chet's not physical, but, you know, you still got guys. If the Knicks can get in there and get on the boards, that's great. But I think that's where you start to, you know, Mitch to be very focused, not pick up cheap fouls. I just think that he's just major important. Then if you do want to go to that dual big lineup, that would be very important that he keeps his head in the game. Clarkson, I would love to see the version of Clarkson that we've seen sometimes during the season. You know, where he's been a little bit of a playmaker. He's been a defender picking up, you know, 94 feet. He's done a lot of the other things other than trying to score. sometimes he just looks like his light bulb's a little loose, like it's not screwed all the way in. So you get a little flicker here, and then you might get bright light, and all of a sudden, then there's then there's all, he's somewhere dimmed in the corner somewhere. So Deuce, I think, is the most important person in a lot of ways, because I've always said this about Deuce. When Deuce is hitting his shots, when those catch and shoots, he's money.
Mm-hmm.
But are we going to let him be a playmaker at any point? Is he going to be the person to dispel Jalen Brunson? Because those minutes where Brunson, if the Knicks are not ahead and you got to give, big body a little bit of a breather, who's going to be the guy? I mean, Josh Hart seems to take over a little bit of the role, but, sometimes that falls in Deuce's hand by default because he's just a smaller guy on the court. I think he's very important to this series. I think whatever series you're going to come in, he's lights out when he can, but he needs to show and prove that he's that dude that is just more than just a catch and shoot player. So, I mean, I like our bench. Shooting comes and goes. I mean, that's something that you really can't depend on. The only thing you can really control is your effort on defense. That's really what it comes down to. We've been big minutes from both Shamet and Deuce defensively. I don't think their offense is what's going to be needed the most in this next series. I think their defense, making sure they don't turn over the ball, very important things, especially if you play OKC. They probably want to turn you over. They're going to play you a little bit handsy in the lane, get deflections, try to strip you, no over dribbling. Those are concerns for me. That's why I like Kolek a little bit, because he's if the decisions are going to be made, he's crafty with his decisions still. So, I mean, I like our bench. I mean, it's not better than Oklahoma City's. Mm-hmm. They are all in the system in Oklahoma City. They all fall in line with the system. They all come in and give the same contributions. However, I do believe that if the Knicks can actually get the score up, I think that they present a big problem. But you're going to need some production from Deuce McBride, in my opinion, more so than worry about Shamet, because if Deuce can give you 14 points off the bench, you're pretty damn good. If he can give you 14, and the way Shamet's shooting the ball, because he's going to be mostly open looks for the most part, because the concentration is going to be on Brunson and Turner. So those guys got to make you pay. So those two are probably the most important. But Mitch, to me, is the quintessential player that has to come in and give strong quality minutes. And it makes me wonder, because I know Eric brought up about him, his social media checkout. You don't know what's going on in the noodle there. I mean, hopefully he's fine. But, when you start talking about these things out loud, it makes me wonder, even in the last game, how much are you really into the game? Because there were some moments where he looked like old Mitch, like making fouls that made no sense. And it's like, are you checked in or are you checked out? And I think they might need to watch that, because they don't have another answer after him. You can't put a 40 in the game. There's no depth at the 5. It's him and Towns. And then you might get something out of OG, but you can't play him too much with that little hammy issue he's still got, because he's still putting ice on it. So you can't do that.
Yeah, the bench has been fantastic for the most part in the playoffs. Like the whole team has, but the bench has really held up their end of the bargain. So they're going to need that, especially in the next series. The team collectively has been good. I'm wondering just how they're going to go about it. Like, are they going to keep, for example, against Atlanta, it started out one way, then they switched to Towns and the hub, and that changed the whole series, right? And then, they started that way against Cleveland. Cleveland took that away a little bit when Towns was setting up, and they switched it up a little bit, and they just used that as not as the main offense, but they started doing different things. And then they would throw the Towns at the top of the key. They throw it in as a wrinkle. So I've really liked the coaching in this. The Knicks have gotten in this series. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna bring up the next one here. The Wolf of 7th Avenue. Because Mike Brown really has been that guy. Like he's been coaching has been fantastic. He's made every right decision. He's made the rotations have been correct. I really don't have any questions about things he's done in the playoffs outside of maybe challenging a couple things that I thought maybe they could have won. He decided not to, but I mean his record in challenges has been fantastic. So who am I to say, one way or another? But the coaching has been phenomenal, and this is kind of what we were talking about with Tibbs, right? Like now we're seeing a coach who we've heard it throughout the entire thing. He's open to the players sitting down with him, offering suggestions, changing, being flexible, being able to adjust on the fly, because that's a big thing with coaches as well. Like Tibbs had his strict just rotations, and that was it. And if you weren't in it, you weren't playing. We've seen Shamet barely played against the Sixers, and in this series he plays and hits 11. He's I think 11 of 12 from 3 or something like that. Clarkson was back in the rotation, he was out. Alvarado was in the rotation and he's out. Like he's given all the guys confidence that he has confidence in them, but he's pulled all the right triggers. Yeah. He's done a really good job at that part of it. So outside of Brown though, I'll let you guys talk about Leon Rose and the team he put together. Ty, go ahead. Talk to us about Leon Rose, because I still have an issue with some of the things, but I'll let you speak on Leon Rose.
His mute button might be a problem for Eric, but let me tell you, when I look at there was a video today floating around the internet of Leon Rose, and he was crying, and I watched that and I was like, and then William Wesley's behind him crying also, and I'm watching the leadership and the management of the New York Knicks, and I was like, wow, these guys they're New Yorkers in a lot of sense, and what I mean by that is the fact that they know the pain and they know the struggle to get where they got and the pressures that are involved, and the emotions show that they were invested in winning for this city and for this state. And when looking back, we started off obviously with Tom Thibodeau and Leon Rose. Those were the foundational pieces, obviously, that they brought in. Julius Randle was obviously here. And, when we made the playoff that first year, under Tibbs, the 1 year under Tibbs or whatever, with Julius, we know that there were some moves made, the Nerlens Noels and, all these guys, because the sense that the not Reggie, is Bullock. What's his Bullock?
Reggie Bullock.
Yeah, Reggie Bullock. Alfred Payton, we've seen them try to, keep something going, because we obviously had a little playoff for the first time. So, we watched those moves that Leon Rose made then and was like, you might not need to bring back Nerlens Noel anytime soon, other than if he's serving popcorn. And he re-signed him, and we were all sitting there like, what the hell is going on? But what we did see was he took out his magic eraser, and he's like, well, let me fix my problems. So he made changes, and, they weren't never detrimental changes. Anything Leon has done has been with a little bit of a cushion, where he does not sacrifice the overall picture or success of the franchise moving forward. He's not really made one crippling move. When you really think about it, the moves that he's always made he's had the ability to come back and get off of those moves and push it along. No greater showing than Yabusele this year. Who would have thunk we would have got rid of Yabusele this year? However, we found that he got rid of Yabusele, and he's like, you're not part of the plans, and I'm going to expedite you. And that's what you've basically seen from Leon Rose, in my opinion. You've seen a GM say, it's all about winning, even if I got to fire my best friend. It's about this franchise winning. I'm invested in the New York Knicks. And when we look at the totality of moves that we've all probably had some question marks, dating back to Josh Hart, when we can now, because I wanted Scam Reddish that bad, but it's like, well, damn, we got to give up a pick and Scam Reddish after he already scammed us out of one pick. I'm like, damn, we're just throwing away picks. No offense to Josh Hart. I like Josh Hart. I thought that he was the type of player that could be on the Knicks because of his rebounding. But I'm like, well, damn, we got to give up another pick to get a guy. And what's going to happen when that happens? You're thinking along those lines. And then Josh Hart comes here. Everyone knows I was teasing about the video. He was doing the Ja Rule video. I'm like, take that light skin energy somewhere else. I was like, you've seen this before. You're up here ice grilling. I was like, yeah, sit that down somewhere. You got so much to prove. All of them coming here with bravado. Then Josh Hart starts, and I'm like, okay, I need to shut the hell up because somebody knew what they were doing because he clearly injected the kind of energy that we've been missing in New York. And what I've just noticed is that every move that Leon Rose has made, no matter what you question of it, whether it's signing Jalen Brunson and moving the pick that became Duran, to get to Jalen Brunson, big question mark there. Like you're clearing cap space for Jalen and you gave up a pick. Because we know how us as Knicks fans, we're worried about the picks all the time. Like, oh, another pick? How many times we've seen other GMs waste picks? So we bring in Jalen Brunson and we're like, well, we know Mitch is injury prone. We could have used a Duran because that would have been a great backup. That's how you got to like you're thinking as a New York fan. But Leon Rose seeing a different picture. So we bring in Jalen Brunson, and who else saw him being that person other than him and Rick? Because no one else thought that was. We thought he was going to be I thought he was going to be a really good player, but I never thought that he'd be a franchise-altering player.
No way.
So we're looking at that being, basically nepotism. We're like, oh, you can easily say he gave his godson a big contract. Ooh, we're going to fail. But it's never not been about basketball with Leon Rose. I think that's the key thing. Him, Wesley, the front office has been about basketball, and namely winning basketball to get to a title. So we question the OG. We're like, no matter how much you like them, we're like 2 players and he's getting that contract. And, guy never made an all-star, I think, at that point. He's never made an all-star. We just know him as a two-way player. Wasn't quite sure what his offensive game would look like. We thought, he leveraged with Philly and got a huge contract. He was the highest paid Knick at one point.
Injury prone.
All these question marks. And we know the big one came in, Macau, came in and was like, 55 picks, what the hell is doing here, and, did they overpay? Macau's having a great year, obviously, as we've seen. First year, let the dogs out. That's what we're talking about. So, so that dog no. So, you're looking at, with, the sense with Macau, with those picks, and then the coup de grace, which was basically, like Eric said, it was the all-in. The all-in move was Karl Anthony Towns, who had a lot of question marks coming in. We were wondering, those who are fans of Julius, I don't happen to be one. However, there were fans of Julius who questioned, knowing that he brought the toughness, whether Cat could come in and be, a difference maker. Could he fit into New York? Is he not? Is he soft, et cetera? We've heard all the nuances about the moves that Leon Rose has made. But I'll be damned. None of those moves are bad. Because this is the proving point when you get to the NBA Finals. That's why I pushed my brakes a little bit on Macau because I'm like, he showed up in Boston. He always had credit for me. I don't care if he sucked the rest of the year. I'm like, you beat the team that most of us despise. And you convincingly had 2 of the biggest steals I've seen in the Knicks history as far as I'm concerned when I've been alive. Those are huge moments. So he knew his personnel. Even keeping Shaman around. Long enough that he nursed him back on injury and that he allowed him to stay and he learned how to circumvent to keep him on the roster.
Shout out Malcolm Brogdon for retiring.
Yep, told him to get the hell out of here. Bring your Brogdon and go. So there's been no move that has not been to better the Knicks. And, man, I'd cry too probably because he probably was sitting there like, if I don't get this done, I'm going to be fired next week. But, but also it's like, to be under the rest of New York City, of playing, of being an this franchise that's been the void of any success for a lot of years, and to know that this guy came in and with a 5-year plan, and that's the expedited thing. Leon Rose does not get enough credit. This is a 5-year. We have never had a 5-year plan. We've never had no plan since probably Dave Checkers left. There's never been a plan, and this guy within 5 years has the Knicks knocking on a championship door. A team that a franchise that no one thought no one can come in and fix. Nobody has fixed it. Let's just keep it above. Nobody fixed this garbage. This garbage has been riding around in waste management trucks for almost 40 years. I mean, when you think about it, it's just been one horrendous move after another. And now you're seeing Leon Rose come in there. He's like, look, I got a plan. He's executed that whole entire plan. Even his coach, because Tim Thibodeau was the linchpin to let you know who Leon Rose was. Because no one would have thought. He extended Thibodeau, best friends clearly, and he's like, "That too brute, I'm gonna stab you right in your back and send you back packing because you're messing up the program." And nobody was bigger than the Knicks. That's the way you really look at it. He made it so that nobody was bigger than the. I mean, he traded Jalen's best man. People don't think about that. They talk about, oh, he got Macau. Well, his best friend is Dante DiVincenzo. So as much as we love, we see the Josh thing. Josh wasn't his best man. Dante was, and he sent him packing. That lets you know it has nothing to do with nothing but what you heard me tell you. I said my mama if she ain't jump shots. I'm just trying to tell you. I can appreciate and respect a person that made it all about that, and you saw the tears of success and the joy of also being vested in those players that you see there. Because James Dolan came out early on, and what did he say? I expect them to be in the finals, and I expect
this year. Yeah.
Now, any other time, that's a death sentence for a GM or a coach, especially under this guy, under Dolan saying that. Oh hell no! Because we saw what happened to Meek Mills. Meek Mills said, "Oh, we're getting KD." He's like, "Well, you're getting KD. You're getting KO'd because he got him the hell up out of here."
Oh God!
So, Leon Rose, man, he deserves a lot of roses because we're not here without him. The Brock Allers, Leon Rose made these hires. So these hires, whether he's the full decision maker or Wesley's the full, it seemed like they were smart enough to do what they did with Brown, which was ask him to be inclusive and bring a lot of different pieces together to get one job done. And he was willing to get, because Brock Aller probably, that might be shout out to Craig, because I know Craig loves hearing this. Brock Aller might have been the real MVP, the first MVP that Leon Rose hired, to be honest.
He totally is, especially with his cap maneuvering ability and the way he can, his understanding of it and giving them the flexibility. And I agree with everything you're saying about Rose. But, Joe, I'm going to ask you this. Wouldn't you like to hear from him? Like, wouldn't you like him to speak?
I really don't give a damn. That's really just a media thing. I really think that's just people that are looking for content. I don't think it matters. Honestly, and I've said this before in this show. I don't think it matters. I think the coach addresses the team, coach addresses the media, players address the media. I don't see a need for it personally. I think the media is upset because it cuts off a certain amount of content that they can create off of reacting to whatever he says.
Well, I'm not the media, and I'm upset. So it bothers me because this team has been bad for so long. And yes, now that it's
what
great,
do you
want
to get out of this personally?
I just want
what value are you drawing from it?
I'm not talking about now. Like, I'd like to hear from him, but I just feel like in that position, that is the leadership. You are the president of basketball operations for this team. You should be the one speaking to the media about and to the fans about the status of the team. And I'm not talking about now. Yeah, now would be fine to speak. Of course you want to talk now. You just made the finals. And if they win the championship, that's easy. Yeah. You can say, yeah, look, all my moves made it, and it was great. But Mike Brown, Tom Thibodeau, they didn't make personnel decisions. They weren't the ones making those decisions. He was. And it doesn't have to be Rose. Why not Wesley? Why not that Greek guy who they hired who apparently is part of the team? I don't even know what the hell he does.
Those guys are doing the job that I need them to do. I guess that's what I look at it. Mm-hmm. And they've done it very well. These things are so transitory. To sit down and have to explain decisions on the roster in the 33rd game of the season, I don't see how that's a point where they have to turn around and address the current state of affairs repeatedly through the season, or even at all. I don't know.
But hold on.
I know that a lot of people got bent out of shape with this, but I think it's because we've sucked so long, and then I see the progress that he gets a pass from me, and I really don't care what he has to say as long as he gets us where we need to go.
It sounds like me.
I want,
He never speaks.
But they don't even come, like, they don't even go to the contract signings. They leave the player up there to answer all the questions. Like, that stuff to me.
Do you know what he's not
should be there?
He's not adding to the drama.
Exactly.
He's just doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing. We are in a cauldron of fan mania, which is feeding the media mania, all of this chaotic cauldron of Knick fandom and what this team is to this city. And what he's not doing is throwing a log on the fire. That's another one.
I don't know.
That's one thing. It's so funny you say that, because I said to Eric, we had this discussion prior. I said the thing was, for me, why I didn't mind Rose not speaking is because we've heard all the other idiots speak before, and they never deliver. I just think, it's that old saying, real bad boys move in silence. I just think that's what we've been seeing. He's gotten the wallet, like I said, from what Pulp Fiction. You open up what Samuel said, give me the wallet that says bad. Mm-hmm. He's just been a bad. Mm-hmm. He's just been a glowing wallet in a lot of ways, because there was no better, presentation than Derek Fisher. He was astonishing press conference. He had everyone in there going, wow. I think one of the Knicks, said that's the best one I've ever heard from somebody speaking. And what was he doing? We know he was doing. He said playing hide the baloney. He was playing hide the baloney. He was a baloney bandit, let's just say.
With Matt Barnes' wife.
Let me tell you, what was he doing? On work time, mind you. He was playing hide the baloney. He's a baloney bandit. So listen, we've seen the Phil Jacksons get up there. They talk. They've been more talking heads. We've seen Isaiah get up, and talk about how, the Knicks, he understood New York. And I think the thing that Rose has done, he has understood New York probably better than all the rest of them, because he shut the hell up and went to work. Mm-hmm. I think that's the thing. I think the thing that we've not seen enough of is that the results. I think he's, that whole saying, your results will speak for itself. I think that's what we're starting to see, even in a time where he could have went out and had the glory. I think it was the guy from The Fan, or whatever, Carson, brought up about the fact that they played the background. James didn't come out. And then we didn't see Rose try to take any credit or any limelight. In fact, he's crying in the corner somewhere. So with Wesley, but you see how vested those guys are, because they go on the road with this team all the time. They're high-fiving guys as they're coming in the back. I think for me, as a fan who's heard a lot of BS, we've heard a lot of crap in New York, and you get bought in. I just think he learned to shut the hell up. Because a lot of times when you overpromise or underpromise or whatever it is, or you make an excuse and you do a Steve Mills or whatever, and we've seen the con artists. I think Leon Rose realized that in New York, they're going to come out to see what's wrong and not what's right about what you're doing. So if he opens his mouth the wrong way, imagine him having to explain the Mikal Bridges spot picks and how people turned on that so quickly. Imagine he did
He should have. That's the thing, though. He should have been had to speak.
But imagine he did that, and people like you and a lot of people scrutinized it, and all of a sudden Mikal has a low year. Now he's got to go back and readdress it. So now, because then it becomes Mikal. Leon Rose said that he was invested in you. So like what Joe was saying, in my opinion, like the vlogging of the fire, like there's an extra, because they're waiting for the clickbait. Think about how the Knicks are successful now, and they're still doing click content. That has
always been, but that's always been part of being an executive coach player in this media market. It's the largest media market in the world.
It is.
That's always been a part of that, and that's part of the job. And my thing is, why is he so special? Like, what's so special about him that he doesn't have to speak to the fans?
It's because the owner allows him to do that, because the owner hates the media. He has the option to do this.
Right. And I was going to go there next. It is an organizational media policy. Yeah. We do know that. So I can't put the blame on him. Maybe he does want to speak. Maybe he's like, look, I'd like to finally say something. And Dolan's like, nah, man. You don't want to say anything.
Well, listen to what they do. They've hired personalities as coaches. That's why I think when you look at the Mike Brown hire, he's a company guy. He's going to take everything. And he handles the media so well. He's very likable. You had Tom Thibodeau prior who didn't give a crap about what anyone thought. He was not coming off of his cliches. He was not trying to – he would insult you to let you know you're not in it, you're not watching film. Whatever he would say, he had his little snarky 10 little pundits that he was going to do. You were not getting any – he enjoyed being the anti-media person while being a media person. So Brown just goes and says, hey, I know what the job entails. I'm here. He's very likable, obviously.
Very likable, yes.
One of the nicest coaches I think we've seen take the podium in New York as far as from the Knicks. And he understands the game, but he understands how I don't think that there's no one complaining about him from the media and how he takes questions.
So classy. He's
a classy dude and funny and articulate and, will open up about basketball, bring you into basically his thought process. I mean, brilliant hire from that perspective because I think that's the thing that probably why Taylor didn't get the job. I don't think he wants that kind of smoke. I question that. He was coming from Memphis. Now you got to now play nice with not only having the anxiety of another coach that replaced you that you had on your staff, but now you're asked to be collaborative and also be a media person. Even a guy like Udoka, I don't think he would have been great at being at the podium. Like maybe Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd was used to the New York media, the metropolitan media. He would have handled it better.
Kid would have worked, yeah.
But there's so much that goes into being the head coach because they want that.
Udoka would have cursed someone out. That would have been.
Oh yeah, that would have been a wrap.
He would have said something cross-eyed to him. He'd have been like, "What?" He would have just told him off. That would have been it.
You gonna leave me alone. That's what he's saying. I don't care if I got to leave alone.
All right, so we're closing with the Bridges of New York County, and yes, I am talking again about Mikal Bridges because again, I said after every round, if he I would have to, apologize to him. So Eastern Conference Finals edition.
Apologize when we win a chip.
Apology. I'm hoping to. I'm hoping that's the last one. But the transformation really, I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. I don't know if you guys do, but I do. I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop with him, for him to return to. And I'm not talking about the defense. It's just the aggressiveness on offense is still what's so surprising to me. I did not see that coming. And he's only fading away like every once in a while now. Sometimes he's actually going towards the basket or just doing regular pull-up jump shots. I'm like, what is going on here? So, I mean, I'm sure there's a case study we could do on what happened. I don't know what after. Again, everyone says it was the switch to Towns that unlocked him, but
they're not running that often though now.
Yeah, they're not running it that often now. So, again, apologies to Mikal. I still think 5 picks is too much. I'm never going to come off that. That's way too much for a player like him. But if they win a title,
who cares?
It was all worth it.
It was.
It was all worth it.
Where's the Josh Hart? F them kids in those picks.
I know.
I gotta tell you, I kind of turned on him this year, and again, I couldn't be happier with what he's shown as a fourth option in this offense during these playoffs, and the defense has been there too. I'm starting to wonder how much of this was Brown and Brown tinkering during the season and what his role is and everything like that. The easiest guy to screw with their role is the one who just got paid, like the long contract.
That's true.
You know what I mean? That's the guy that's probably going to be the most open to, hey, I have some ideas on your role. You might want to sit down for this kind of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, it's hard to complain about anything that's going on right now, period. But again, Ty and I were talking about this a couple of weeks ago on a show. It's like, is there a playoff version of Mikal? Like people talk about playoff Jimmy. Dude seems to come through when the lights shine brightest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just hoping it continues, man.
Yeah, for one more round. I agree.
Yeah.
Let's get this version of him for one more round because this has been. It's like he's a different player. Honestly,
Yeah.
he's a completely different player. We're getting the player that I thought we were getting.
Yeah.
When we made the
Good
trade.
way of putting it.
That's essentially what. Yeah, it's essentially what he's been. And Ty, I gotta give you credit because you said it. Like maybe he's just the guy who plays better in the playoffs. Joe just said it, but you said it first. Like maybe he's just the guy who, when the calendar switches to April and the playoffs begin.
Well, it's just the evidence I got was from when he was in Phoenix. You know, he almost, like I said, I know it's hard to fathom, but he would have won probably MVP had they pulled it off because he was having a spectacular final. It's just, I mean, like I said, it's different when you're hanging with your boys too. You can get to a lot of trouble. You feel like, you know, they put a battery in your back. You know, he's playing with, you know, his comrades now. So it's probably a different confidence level when you see people trusting you, you know, and they're your best friends at that point. So you know that they're giving him a high level of confidence. But we've seen it waver even with Josh Hart. You know, I'm not sure that Brunson or someone got to him and said, you better shoot the damn ball because you could shoot. You know, and then he comes out and they start feeding him. So shout out to Mikal Bridges because I think coming in the next series, he's probably the most important person in the finals. I think that what he does, what he gives them, I think you should see the competitive fire. I think
he should be covering SGA.
Yeah, he's competitive. I think more because Mikal is like very. I don't know, not like this is a bad thing because I'm a nerd, but he's very nerdy and geeky. And I think that kind of comes off like he's like a punk, you know, so, you know, like you can push him around. But I think he's very competitive. I think that we just don't see it because he doesn't articulate it vocally. You know, he sounds like he's like, you know, talking through his nose most of the time. He's just very, you know, goofy. He's like a goofy kid, so to say.
Yeah, it's funny watching them. It's funny watching those three out on the podium after the press conference because they're so different. Each one of them is so different.
Because remember, he was talking about he says, "Oh, there's tags. There were tags in college," and they look at him like, "What the hell are you been talking about this?" It's like he's the little brother that they son. Like they bring him. Yeah. Everybody knows when you got your little cousin or brother or whatever, and you be like, "Oh, come on, do I got to take you with me?" And all of a sudden, he's like, and he's like, he's been tagging along, like. Even when you hear him talk about when Josh must have hit him when he was in Villanova, he's like, "Oh, he pushed me real hard." Like it wasn't like no venomous, you know, no animus to it. It was like, "Ow, you hurt me." It was just one of those.
I know.
And it's like listening to him, but they probably like, "Yeah, Mikal, he's about to beat you." Yeah, you know how you talk crap to your little cousin or your brother or whatever, saying, "I think you got to fight him. I think he's what you would call it." They're trying to punk you, and he probably like, "Oh, they're not punking me." So,
I know.
Like I said, they say he asked to guard Maxey in Philly. He requested it. So we know how that ended. I would have loved to see what he would have done against Cade and all those guys. So that would have been pretty interesting. But
it would have been an interesting matchup against Cade, Jaylen Brown, you know, those guys who. The best players on those teams, 2 MVP candidates, apparently that's what they were. Cade it is amazing to me the all NBA teams were announced. Towns didn't make it, even though he had better stats than Holmgren and Duran and all the guys who made it third team. And then Brunson gets second team and not first team. But they're the two that are left standing in the conference. So it was very, very weird how that played out, but who cares? I'm sure they'll take an NBA championship over being all NBA.
They'll take that ring over that crap.
100% would. All right, so the NBA Finals, no matter how long this series goes, guys, the NBA Finals, Game 1 is June 3rd at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The Knicks will be on the road no matter who they face, so we don't have to worry. I don't have to worry about taking out a mortgage to go to the game.
Have you seen those ticket prices?
Oh my God, yes. Oh my God. I'm hoping they drop a little bit by the time the game starts, but I would love to go. But yeah, that's $3,000 for the 400s all the way at the top. That's
like the average ticket is $3,500.
Wow. That's even too much for my blood. Like I'll splurge a little, but that's not a splurge. That's like
that's like a trip to Europe.
Yes, that's a trip to Europe, exactly. So yeah, I'm good. But
what happens? You'll see a crack pipe fall out my back pocket because that's crazy.
I'm good with TV, man. I got two.
Yeah, I'm damn good.
Well, maybe Joe, if you're still around here at the time, maybe we can figure out a way to get together and watch one of the games. Just go somewhere.
I'm going to be down. The next time I'm down is June 16th to the 23rd.
I think it'll be over by then.
Yeah, we might be tapped up on it. But hey,
that's my next tour of duty on Long Island.
Hopefully we can go celebrate. That'd be a good
Game
one.
6 is the 23rd, and Game 6 is the 16th. So there.
16th I'm driving down. 17th I'll actually be here.
So just meet us somewhere. That's all. Just watch Game 6.
That's true.
I can drive during Game 6 if there is a Game 6.
I'm leaving about 1:30 in the afternoon, 2:00 in the afternoon. I could probably be there by game time. I could probably be at your place by game time.
Ty, don't put that. Don't do that. Don't do 4. Don't. 5 maybe. 5 is better.
There's a lot of people that I respect.
16 work.
They love jumping out the window. Somebody said it's like, oh, they'll beat OKC. I'm like, dude, just pump your brakes a little bit. It's like we don't need to do all. We just need to win 4 of them. That's all we need to win 4. We don't need to. I don't care how you win 4. Just win 4. I don't care if it's in 7 games.
I mean, I'm excited too. Don't get me wrong. I with how they're playing, I'm very confident. Probably more confident than I would have been. They have a really good shot, but I'm not making any kind of predictions. I'm not doing that.
I just wanted to get started. That's the only thing I wanted to get started.
That's it.
And then let the chips fall as they may. Either way, it's been a respectful season, and I respect and I'm happy for our team. So that's good.
Yep. All right. Well, let's shut this one down for now. We will be along with you guys during the NBA Finals, win, lose, or draw. I can't believe I'm saying that because if there's a tough loss, I'm sure the last thing we're going to want to do is talk about it. But we will be here with you guys, carrying you guys along the way. Thanks again for watching us, as always. Thanks for the support. Keep supporting us. If you are into, you want to interact with us even more, check out our Facebook fan page. Check us out over there. We'll interact with you there. Be posting hopefully some more stuff during the finals, but exciting time to be a Knicks fan. Very, very exciting time. So enjoy this ride, folks, because again, it was 27 years between trips. So enjoy the ride we're on right now, and hopefully we're a staple in the finals going forward. But for now, for Ty and Joe, I'm Eric. You're watching All Nicked Up. We'll see you next time. Go Knicks.